Hey guys, what's going on? Funny story, I recorded all of the audio for this one, or all the clips for this one, and then just realised in editing that it actually didn't catch my mic, so you get editing me today. But yeah, welcome to the channel. As you may be aware, Create Aeronautics released about 2 weeks ago, and I decided I would start a long-form survival series, playing through it, building some cool stuff. I've got some neat ideas. And then maybe having play with some friends later in the world that I make. So yeah, I guess you get voice over me describing what's going on for this video. So yeah, headed out, started the new world, very exciting. Grabbed some wood and then went ahead and decided, well, once I've got some wood, I'll go beat the game and then I'll come back and we'll start the actual create stuff. So I went ahead, ducked down into a cave, grabbed some iron, crafted myself up some tools, so got myself an iron pickaxe, and I started some iron armor. I happened to find the rarest ore in the game, I think now, technically, on my way, which was kind of exciting, but just the one diamond there. Picked up some more here just from various caves on my way down. I was looking for like a nice lava pool to build a nether portal in, and then got down, found my lava pool, lit up my nether portal, and off we went into the realms of the nether. So not a terrible spawn here, it's a reasonably friendly biome. However, I did forget about the fact that, you know, piglins exist and they're not big fans of people without gold. And I also forgot about the crucial aspect of bringing food, which sort of became a bit of a problem for me. You see here I've got no sprint and my health has looked better. And so sort of most of my trip here was looking for anything I could eat. So either a Crimson Forest to try and kill hoglins, or mushrooms to try and grab mushroom stew, and then any old nether wood biome to pick up enough to make food. And I did in the end find myself enough. You can see there I'm back to full health, full hunger, and some mushroom stew as well. So I kept wandering and I got lucky, ran to a soul sand valley here and found a fortress, which was very cool. So that was a good start for me to get my blaze rods. That went a little bit askew at times, so yeah, I got into half a part here. It was a bit dicey, but we made it. But possibly foreshadowing future events here. So I went ahead and killed a few more blazes just to get myself up to 8 rods. And then it was off to the next job, checking out some. And I'd actually made a pretty good start here. I got all my pearls, but I ran into a little spot of bother getting back. So running through this Crimson Forest, you can see the hoglins got me good there. Panicked a little bit, ran into this hole, boxed myself away. Actually managed to end up killing the hoglin. And then for no good reason, while I was trying to cook the pork, ender pearled. So that was the end of that one, but it's okay, we cope, because I didn't really like the seed anyway. So I did, you know, have a go looking for my items here, but in the end it wasn't worth it. And so I called it a day, quit the game, and came back the next day. Okay, so new day, new world, new me. Hoping for something a little bit better, more of a success, maybe a nicer seed too. I am just randomly generating these. It turns out I actually got really lucky with the second one that I made here. It's kind of neat, kind of cool that I got a really nice one out of this. So you can see we're in a spruce forest here, we've got some dark oaks, there's lots of wood. And we've actually got this really nice mountain biome up there behind spawn as well. So same plan as last time, but with more success this time. Break some wood. Go beat the game again, and see what we can do. So let's go ahead and montage that, and I'll see you in a moment. I actually managed to run into a mine shaft while I was digging down to find myself some lava, which was pretty cool. And it's just kind of the first structure that showed up kind of near spawn here. So then I made it to the nether. Managed to find a bastion to trade with a piglin there, and then ran into a nether fortress quite far away from spawn. Killed some blazes like last time, and made it out of the nether with some blaze rods in hand, and pearls from trading with the piglin. Came out in the acacia biome, picked up some food, wasn't going to make that mistake twice, threw out an eye, and went ahead and followed that to the stronghold. Went ahead, chucked some eyes in that portal, killed the dragon. And very quickly actually managed to find an end city. This is like, I think I show it here, yeah. This was barely over the hill from my gateway. My gateway is just there, which was very cool. Picked myself up some elytra, or I guess for this playthrough they're going to be more like a parachute. Grabbed the egg, because, you know, there's only one, may as well take it, and headed back into the overworld. So safe to say that went better than last time. On my way in the overworld, I figured I'd need some resources to get the create stuff started, so I went digging and I managed to find myself an ancient city. Also very close to spawn. I don't know if you could see from the F3 screen there, but pretty good. Almost directly underneath those mountains that we saw when we first spawned in here. So I had a quick poke around there, grabbed myself some gear from some chests, and you can see actually in here I've also got some bits and pieces from a trial chamber, which is just about straight above this, which is pretty cool. Did manage, however, to overstay my welcome on this one. A certain large blue thing decided that it wasn't very happy with me being there, but quick ender pearl, away we go, no harm done. On my way back up, I managed to get the blowback advancement, which is the one where you defeat a breeze with its own deflected wind charge. Which is pretty cool. Haven't got that before. Doesn't give you much, but, you know, bragging rights, I guess. And finally made it back up to the surface, so I put down my bed, couple of chests, got myself geared up with some diamonds, and now it's time to kind of plan out what I'm going to be doing building-wise in the world. So I was having a bit of a poke around, especially after I came back up from that trial chamber, and I noticed that actually on this side of the mountains, there's a really, really nice lake terrain. So this is really cool. We've got a village over there, which will be nice for trades and so on. But I'm thinking that that lake there makes a really cool port, and then actually we can put a big sky port kind of above that in like a torus shape. This hill down here that I'm indicating now, I'm thinking I can put like a bunch of factories on, and then I can put like regular houses and stuff kind of over there. And yeah, that circle in the sky there would be the skyport, which is going to be the big feature of this playthrough, is building one of those, which I'm really excited about. On my adventures I managed to get myself a dog, which was very exciting. And I decided that I'd start my first build just in that little outcrop there into the lake. So the plan was to start a little factory just to get my create stuff up and running and automated, and give me a good basis from which to keep building things. Alright, and there we go. So that was the little kind of hole I dug out there. I decided what I would do here is run some of the water from the lake inside the entrance to the factory, because I figure I'm going to need a water source at some point. Definitely for a steam engine, but given that my early game is early game, probably I'm going to be using some water wheels to start my power up. So for anybody unfamiliar with the Create mod, pretty much everything you make that's from the mod uses this thing called andesite alloy, which you make in a few ways, but the way that's I think is the easiest early game is using iron nuggets and andesite itself, and that andesite alloy can make you pretty much everything else you need. So here I go ahead and make some shafts. I put those together with some wood planks to go ahead and make a water wheel, and then I surround that water wheel again with wood planks, and that gets me a large water wheel. So that allows me to produce a fair quantity of power. I go ahead and put down 3 of these, all in sequence just next to the water like so, and you can see that the water flowing over them makes them turn, and that is going to generate me the power that I need to run the first parts of my factory. I then decided, hey, you know, it's Create Aeronautics, I should make something from Create Aeronautics, and I sort of settled on trying to put together a portable engine as my first construction, because that's actually quite accessible early game. So you need one of these engine assemblies, which you make with a press and a saw. Obviously you need to make a saw and a press in order to do that and power it, but those aren't too bad. So a mechanical saw there, you just need some iron plates, and those iron sheets I should say, and the iron sheets you can just make with a press. And a press just needs a block of iron, a couple of bits of andesite. So I went ahead, got myself some andesite casing here, made myself a press, powered it up, tried to press an iron ingot and it didn't work, and I got quite confused about why it didn't work. Figured it out, needed a depot underneath, and we got the excellently named advancement bonk from that. Crafted up my mechanical saw, sat my dog because I figured an operating saw would be bad next to a moving dog, and then had quite a time trying to work out how to actually make the saw work. So it's moving there, it's hard to see, but obviously you can't put anything in it. But I managed to figure it out in the end, sawed myself up an iron ingot, and then got confused because that didn't look like part of an engine assembly. Funny story, as you may remember, you need an iron sheet for that, not an iron ingot. So figured that out, pressed the iron sheet into an engine assembly over the course of of 8 attempts, or at least that's what I thought I was doing, but this process only has a 50% chance to yield an engine assembly, and unfortunately the first time I went through it, it gave me an iron nugget. No worries, I'll do it again. Run through another 8 cycles and it's still not, but the third time around I got myself an engine assembly. So I went ahead and crafted that up into a portable engine. By default the colour's red, which is a nice throwback to the old days of defaultly red beds, and I really like these guys because if you hold coal next to them like you can see there, you actually get the mouth animation going. Then you can feed it and it will go ahead and burn until the coal runs out. I can't remember what the default burn time on these is. It's not super short for coal, but yeah, what I did with that is I went ahead and I did my first Create Aeronautics thing. So I put together a little chainsaw, which you do with this physics assembler, and at the moment you can see that's a physics object. I can kind of punch it around, it wobbles a bit, but what I did is I attached a chain drive and the chainsaw and a handle. I managed to move myself around the chainsaw rather than the chainsaw around me, but eventually I got it. And you can see that that's able to move around. Now if I go ahead and power the chainsaw, that saw starts to move, and when I picked it up I immediately managed to injure myself with it. So lesson for all, don't use chainsaws if you're not sure how to do it. But eventually I managed to figure it out and brought it close enough to that tree that I managed to chop it down, which is really cool. I think that's a very fun way to do little portable machines with this mod. Okay, so after that I went away and I decided I'd make my base look a little bit prettier. So this is post-prettification. You can see I've got a nether portal all set up now. I've got a wandering trader visiting that I've bought some cactus from, which is actually going to be really important because it lets me make slime, which turns out to be very useful in this mod pack. But yeah, as you can see, I've carved out a bit of a hole above the hole. That's some natural light in. I've made sure that that water flows the correct way over the water wheels and kind of started culverting that river. And I've got my sort of basic create mod lab set up there. So press saw with an off switch, so that if I want to, I can let the dog roam free. We've got a basin and a blaze burner that will go ahead and let me make zinc. And we've got ourselves a little clock on the wall there and a deployer to make anything like a precision mechanism or something that I might want in the nearish future. So my next plan was, just to kind of wrap up the episode, let's make a vehicle, because that's the really big thing with Create Aeronautics, to be able to make a vehicle. Now what I tried to do is make a boat, and I thought let's make it out of slabs because they're nice and light, they should float. It turns out slabs are a bit glitchy if you assemble them in water, and in general they do interesting things. So pro tip, probably use a full block instead, and that works much better. So you see it still sinks there, but once I get rid of that physics assembler on the top, it starts spinning a bit, which sort of wasn't the aim. And I think that's actually because it's taken away the water source block there, and so the currents are spinning it around. But quick kind of repairs there, so just making that a little bit more stable by adding more blocks, and we actually got a reasonable stable platform out of this one. So the next thing for me to do here was take my stable platform and turn it into an actual craft. So I decided I wanted to make like a really terrible, awful hall craft. That was my goal for this one. So chest on the back, seat at the front, and go ahead and put some engines on the front there too. Now you see the weight distribution's a bit off. Those engines are definitely weighing it down in the front there, and it turns out you can't rotate them with a wrench, which is a little bit irritating, but that's okay. Luckily they are not going to be weighing down the front for very long, because I'm going to go ahead and put shafts down the back and then propellers at the back, and that should balance us out reasonably nicely. You can see here I'm using 2 vertical gearboxes just to distribute those the power to those propellers, and that's pretty much already balanced us out. And what I did is I swapped out the shafts for some more controllable stuff. So we've got clutches and gear shifts here, and that actually lets us steer the boat. So if you go ahead and power up the engines, and yes, you do need to power both of them, it's definitely not an efficient craft. You can see it started moving there, but obviously we don't want to just run aground, so I can go ahead and flick those gear shifts and make us go backwards. Which is really cool, actually. I'm a big fan, and we are finally moving. This is our first craft in Aero, which is really exciting, and hopefully indicating many more to come. So yeah, you can flick that gear shift off in the back there to turn off one of the motors, which lets you turn around, and if you kind of go out into the lake, you can see that we're sailing away. Now there is a slight problem with this, which is that at some point I think I hit either a mob or a block or something. Yeah, and you can see that I'm definitely on an angle here, and yeah, there we go, I hit the block, and I am definitely underwater in the back half there. So I decided I'd try and make it back to the entrance of my factory, and you can see this is not going well for me, and I actually run out of fuel there. So I try counterbalancing it just to keep it a bit flatter, and that does work, but we're definitely a semi-submersible at this point. But I get us almost lined up here with the mouth of the river, and actually what I do here is I utilize, you'll see it in a minute I think, yeah, there we go, I utilize the clutch, which lets you turn at a slightly slower rate than just flicking the gear shift, and we get us pretty close in to the river here, but unfortunately it's very hard to perfectly line up a 3x3 across craft with a 3 across channel, and also we kind of run around a little bit where the ground comes up to meet us there. So I figured that was a good place to leave it with my very silly little craft and the start of the factory. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!